If you're thinking about retiring abroad, the first steps are actually simpler than you think, if you know where to start. Hi, I'm Scott Baker, and I made a decision that I'm going to retire and move to Europe next year. And today I want to share something that I wish that I had when I first started. It's not a list of the countries, but it's an overview of actually how to start the process. When I first thought, I'm never going to be able to retire on my Social Security here in the USA, next, where can I go? And while it was a little bit overwhelming, it was also exciting and confusing. And I didn't have a roadmap. Heck, I didn't even know what the questions I should be asking are. Like most everybody else, I Googled moving abroad, and the results were just, they were endless. There were blogs about it. There were relocation experts. There were online courses. There were just a ton of information, and a lot of it I found contradictory. And I wasn't looking for hype, and I wasn't looking for guaranteed results. I just wanted clarity. I wanted direction, and I wanted honesty, and I wanted guidance on the next steps I should be taking. So today I'm just sharing how I got started and how I made sense of it all and the order I process things. I'm not here dispensing advice, and I'm certainly not telling you what you should and shouldn't do, but I just want to share my experience, so in case you are interested in doing something like this, that maybe this will help you too. So this is the guide that I wish that I had when I started. For me, it started with the emotional part, not the paperwork. Before I ever Googled moving abroad or the best country for retirees, I really had to assess the what ifs and the fear of the unknowns. It's like, what if I get sick, or what if I get there and I don't like it, or what if I get bored, all that stuff. But I realized that the fear of the unknown is not necessarily to stop me, but it's to actually pause me and say, hey, wait, this is important, pay attention. Some of my hesitation wasn't even logical, and the part that wasn't, I just researched it and found the answers, and some of it was irrational fears, and some of it was actually just part of being human, and it's to be expected in something like this. If you're curious about that part, I did a video, and I'll link it in the description below, and it talks about the what ifs and how to overcome the fear, so check it out if you're interested. Step one is defining the life, and before defining the country. Before I ever even Googled best place or best country for retirees, I really had to examine, what do I want in my retirement? What am I looking for? And what do I want that daily life to be like? And do I want a city or a countryside, or do I want to even drive a car, or do I want to live amongst other expats, or do I want to immerse myself in the local culture? All these things that came up for me, and it was an opportunity for me to really examine. For me, I wanted warmth. I need sunshine. I want a city. I want to be able to walk out my door and walk to restaurants and grocery stores and bakeries, and I don't want to drive a car. I want to be able to hop on public transportation and go, and I want to be able to immerse myself in the local culture and learn the language, and I want that experience of walking out my door every day and not knowing what the adventure of the day might be. Step two is that, can I afford that life? And so I had to take a look at my financials honestly and candidly, and it was not, okay, how much do I earn, but it's more, how much can I comfortably and consistently spend on a monthly basis? For me, that meant planning around my Social Security and a modest savings, and I had to take into consideration U.S. income taxes. Got to pay that wherever I am in the world every year. There's the cost of living difference, there's the foreign exchange rate, health care, and there's also the taxes in that foreign country, although many countries exclude pensions and savings from the income tax. So that's a good thing. And there are plenty of countries around the world that are significantly less expensive to live on a monthly basis than it costs here in the USA. For me, the numbers helped shape my reality, and it didn't really limit my possibilities, but one of the good things I learned in this is that don't force a square peg into a round hole. I didn't get too stuck on a specific country until I really did the numbers and made sure they added up, and I didn't want to try to make a country happen that I can't even afford to get into and live. Which leads to step three, which is the visa and the gatekeepers, and there there are certain requirements that I have to have a minimum monthly income, whether it's from a pension or savings that would enable me to afford living in that country. And then there's having health insurance, and some countries want a background check. Most countries, the fees are very affordable, $50, $100, and the application process is quite simple in some and a little bit more complicated in others. And while some you can even get all of it's online and get a complete visa without ever having to step into the consulate, and others you have to apply online and then go to the consulate for an interview. But every country it varies, and they're all relatively straightforward. I just went to the government websites for that country and clearly determined. I didn't rely on Facebook or hearsay or blogs or anything else. I went straight to the source to get that information, and that was the best thing for me. Step 4 is the healthcare, and that's one of the main reasons that I'm looking to move abroad in the first place. There's usually state-run healthcare that it may take a little while to become eligible for it. Some may be a year, but in France it's 90 days. You have private insurance that you have to carry, and then there's also really great availability of English-speaking doctors, physician specialists, and hospitals that are most often much more affordable than they are here in the USA. In most countries, healthcare is viewed as a right and not a luxury product that only the rich can afford. And every country varies, and none are really perfect, but fundamentally their philosophy is just different than ours, and that it's like I said, it's a right and not a luxury. One thing important to note is that Medicare doesn't work outside the borders of the USA. So there's a decision that I have to make of, do I keep it or do I drop it? But that's a personal decision and I haven't decided which way to go yet. Step 5 is dig deeper and find the right city. And once I narrowed my search down to a couple of countries, that's where the research and really digging deeper started, and it is where my vision really started to take shape. And I moved beyond the climate and the cost of living, and now I was looking more into the lifestyle and their values, the pace of life, and what it looked like as a community that I might want to live in. To help with that, I put together a simple Word document, nothing fancy, but it started with a profile of me, age, sex, marital status, what I'm looking for in an apartment, a 1-bedroom, not a studio. I also put the amount I want to pay or no more than for rent each month, and also put a minimum population because I want to live in a city, I don't want to live in a small village. And then I started listing criteria, and the list was long, very long, but I had the must-haves and the like-to-haves, and then I had the deal breakers, and I left no stone unturned, and because I was trying to, I included walkability, the availability of medical specialists in certain areas or certain fields of healthcare, and I even listed, does it have mosquitoes in the summer? Does it close in the winter? Is this a tourist town that's going to shut down in the winter? And the point is that I wanted to get really clear on what my daily life might look like in that city. There are so many great videos out there, like 4K walking tours of all these cities that interest me, and so I was able to not only see the environment, but I was actually seeing the people that were in the videos themselves, and it was just very insightful. After that, I narrowed it down even further, and then I went over to Europe earlier this year, and I visited those places, and now I've got 3 cities that I'm considering, and I'll make a choice from those. Speaking of that Word document, I made a version of it, and I've attached it in the description below, and for you to use if you want, and you can use it as is, or tweak it, throw it away, or rewrite your own. But it's more. I wanted to have a Kickstarter, an idea starter for you of in case you choose to go down this path, that you can make your own list and certainly use mine if you want. I'm sharing this because I didn't have a guide when I first began, and I know how overwhelmed I was. So I wanted to create something that would help you take that very first step. Moving abroad, it's a big decision. I'm not moving across town. I'm moving to a different country. So it's emotional, it's practical, it's also exciting and challenging. For me, it's a chance to build a life based on my values instead of my fears. And so if you're on this path or just thinking about it, and let me know your thoughts and your challenges and your solutions. And I'd love to be able to assist you, and maybe it'll help others too. So I appreciate you watching today, and I hope you got something out of it. If you did, I'd like for you to subscribe maybe and leave a comment, and be on the lookout. I'm going to be uploading other videos in the coming weeks and months ahead that is going to be sharing more of my journey to moving abroad. So thank you very much for watching. I appreciate it.